Hello and welcome to Chattin, the weekly show where we start a discussion that you guys can continue in the comments. This week we're talking about games that should be set in Scotland. Hey guys, before we get started, I want to talk about why we took a couple of weeks off. So, to start with, we had the Playaway Festival and that kept all three of us really busy. And then, just after the Playaway Festival, I decided to move on to doing a bit of work behind the scenes, so we're working on a Discord channel and stuff that you can join. We're still working on it, but it's getting there, and we've definitely got a few more people in there now, so feel free to go check that out, like in the description. And yeah, I felt a wee bit burnt out with all the interviews and stuff, so I went and did a couple of articles, which I don't normally do on here. But yeah, now I'm back, and chatting can be a more weekly thing again. So expect to see it every Wednesday instead of Mondays, and yeah, we'll just sort of have a nice wee chat. And yeah, as always, we want to see what you guys think in the comments below. Without further ado, we're going to get into today's topic. So, we're going to discuss long-running video game franchises that should have an instalment set in Scotland. We mentioned this on the podcast last Saturday, and I thought we might as well expand on it here, because this is the best way to find out what you guys think as well. I mentioned the first entry in this list on air, actually, so you might have already heard about it, but I think it's a neat idea, and I want to see it happen. And that is Far Cry. I want to see a Far Cry game in the same style as the more modern ones, especially Far Cry 5. I want to see that, but set in a Scottish island, and it could be quite Wicker Man-esque, and you could go in there to sort of break up, we've already had a cult, but something along those lines, something, mysterious happens, you turn up, and then you're trapped on the island because its inhabitants aren't letting anyone else on, and you'll have to become the one-man army that Far Cry always encourages you to become, to fight back and reclaim the island for its more peaceful inhabitants. What's not to like? Next up, we have the Total War franchise, and honestly, I can't tell why this hasn't happened yet. The appeal of controlling armies during the Scottish War for Independence just seems to be there. I think that people would enjoy to play it, and being able to recreate iconic battles like the Battle of Bannockburn, but take your own spin on it and try things in your own way, could just be really interesting and could make for a great campaign. And I think that guerrilla warfare style might change what Total War fans are used to, which might be quite interesting and fun. The next thing I want to talk about is Tomb Raider. Brian mentioned this on the show, and it just makes sense, frankly. Why hasn't Lara come to Scotland? We have a ruin and a castle every 10 feet. You nip to the shops and you have to go through a ancient civilization's ruins, right? That's just how things work in Scotland. So why not have her come here? So I went and did a bit of research, so the guys that make the games don't really have to. So the Isle of Islay had some artifacts found on it, believe it or not, by a pig. Links to that, what I found in the description, but essentially a pig came across some stuff, and then a farmer was like, oh, what's that? And it turns out that the artifacts found dated back to 1,300 years before historians thought people lived on Islay, which is just mad. And so this dark intrigue and mystery of this civilization that history didn't know about could just be really interesting. It's definitely up Lara's street, so why she hasn't came here and, got to the bottom of it, I will never understand. I'll be honest, this next one is definitely my favourite. I love a good horror game, even if they do wet the pants off of me.
Lights are now flickering. Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you guys might remember the Monstrum video. I didn't look too good, did I? Anyway, despite the fact that they do scare the pants off of me, I do love a good horror game, and I think that we should get an Outlast game set on the Scottish borders that takes inspiration from Scottish mythology. So again, I did a little bit of digging and I found out about a mythical creature called redcaps. Now, essentially, redcaps are like goblins but they look like short old men almost, kinda. Not sounding intimidating yet, I understand, but wait until I get into it. They have long sort of talon-like fingers and blood-red eyes. But that's not the creepy part. The creepy part is where they get their name. They're called red caps because they all wear hats that are red, that makes sense. However, how the hats get to being red is where it gets creepy. Essentially, these creatures have to kill people and soak their hat in their victim's blood to keep their hats those colours. Now, if the red cap's hat were to dry out of blood, then they die. Now, here's where Outlast comes into things. You play as an investigative journalist months after a mysterious incident happens in a town on the Scottish borders. The town's inhabitants have all been massacred. Police came across them and initial thoughts are it was a pack of wild animals because they're just torn to shreds. And the thing is, people don't understand how the people of the town couldn't fight back. Well, that leads to an investigation that brings up nothing, so the police go back to saying it was just wild animals. But the true crime community online disagrees, and as a journalist, you go down to investigate. Armed with only a camcorder, you go down to make a documentary on exactly what happened, at which point you'll come across the red cap. Your goal will be to hunt for clues and evidence of what exactly happened while avoiding the red cap till morning, because since it's been months since he killed last, his hat's drying out. You just need to make it till morning. This game is going to be completely time-based and focused on replayability. The more evidence you collect throughout your time, the better score you'll get, the better ranking you'll get, and you'll get to see a documentary made by your character at the end. So that's some long-running franchises that I think should have a Scottish instalment. Heads up, I also want to mention Infamous, and I'd love to see Saltire, the Scottish comic book hero. Really cool. Bit of a flex, I've got a signed copy of the first volume of that. Don't have it on hand, it's at my parents' place, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that'd be really cool, playing as a Scottish superhero. That'd be just epic, and I want to see it. But I didn't really have a strong idea on what I wanted from that, so I left it out. Here, that's just a wee bonus for you. As always, we want to hear exactly what you have to say in the comments, so please do let us know. Remember that your opinion is just that, it's an opinion, so if someone disagrees with you, don't get into an argument, just let bygones be bygones. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I've been Ryan for Scottish Games Network, and you've been awesome. We'll see you next time.